Well, Mr. Kant, thanks very much for joining us. We're looking at the union budget. First, let's talk about the fiscal deficit, the fact that it's been kept at 5.1% for the financial year 2025. Your thoughts on that? This is better than expected.
So, Vishnu, I think very important to understand that this is a budget by a government which is extremely confident getting into election. There's nothing populist in the budget. It focuses on macroeconomic fundamentals. It brings down the fiscal deficit to 5.1%, raised down a roadmap for next year at 4.5%. The challenge, the great thing about this is that you will make a lot of fiscal space available, leading to lower interest rates. The bank rates will come down over a period of time, and that will enable private sector to access a lot of more resources for investments, and that will kickstart the private sector investments and also focus on infrastructure in a big way. And that, I think, is really critical, that overall the economy's interest rates will come down because the government had occupied a lot of that fiscal space which is now being vacated.
Are you satisfied about what you're looking at or reading about CapEx? Because that's absolutely critical going forward. Do you believe that capital expenditure has been hiked substantially?
No, so Vishnu, look at it from 2013-14, when there was no private sector investment coming into infrastructure. The government raised it to 3.3% last year and is taking it to 3.4% this year. So actually from the first year of this government, there has been a 592% increase already.
Yeah.
Now the government has created roads, housing, expressways, many other things. What it's saying is that it's still increasing the capex expenditure to 3.4, but it wants private sector to be crowded in. You can't have a productive efficiency in the economy. You can't have better operation maintenance without the private sector. So actually, government should be crowding in private sector, which is the aim of this budget. And that, to my mind, is a good move, because you have to maintain the balance. The more capex expenditure you will do, the government will have to borrow more, and that'll upset the fiscal discipline.
Mr. Kant, the minister said that the Skill India mission, which is so important, has trained 1.4 crore youths. How many of those have actually translated into jobs?
Well, quite a few. I mean, the important thing is that you're training people, and over a period of time, once people are trained, they will get jobs. It's not that they'll get jobs today or tomorrow. Many of them would have got jobs. Many of them would have got into self-employment, as the Mudra scheme targets show. Many of them would have definitely got into self-employment. But the large-scale skill training is very, very critical. In fact, to my mind, this needs to be accelerated further in the coming years.
Mr. Kant, what I really found very important and fascinating is the focus on women. In a budget which was abbreviated, obviously, because it's an interim budget, there were 2 or 3 very specific mentions of the role of women and the importance. Firstly, girls. To encourage vaccination for girls aged 9 to 14 against cervical cancer, an important move, critical for health. Secondly, 83 lakh self-help groups with 9 crore women are transforming the rural socio-economic landscape. And then there was a reference to the Lakhpati Didis, the enhanced target up to 3 crores. How is the segment in our population, women, not just a political demographic, they are core to our demographic dividend?
So Vishnu, when we did the G20 discussions with all the other countries, the Prime Minister was very clear that women-led development has to form a very major priority. We were able to build a consensus across all countries on women-led development, as opposed to what the United Nations terminology is on gender, saying gender equality all the time. So if you look at it, in the last few years, all the houses that have been made, over 80% of them have been made in the name of women or joint ownership. The other big thing is that with financial inclusion, when we opened up our bank accounts, between 2015 and 17, only 18% of the women had bank accounts. Today, about 90% of the women have bank accounts. So you made them a very formal part of your economy. What the government is doing now, that in every scheme, lay focus on the women first. Make sure that the women gets emphasis, because they're going to be 50% of your economy. If 50% of the economy become key drivers of your growth, if they are in the forefront, if they take leadership position, the country will grow at rapid rates. And that is really the key. And therefore, my view is, I entirely agree with you that women-led development will be the remarkable feature of this particular interim budget.
Mr. Kant, I think the interest on innovation in India, making Atmanirbharta more than just a political statement, but and it's essentially very important for our economy as we go forward. 1 lakh crore rupees with a 50-year interest-free loan, which essentially makes it free almost, with that kind of time period. That's essential, that without innovation and genuine Indian science and genuine Indian engineering, we as a nation will not progress economically.
So Vishnu, there are two remarkable features of this budget. One is this huge focus on research and development, saying that we'll provide 1 lakh of crores to the private sector of India to push for research and development. And that is remarkable to my mind, because this will push us towards deep tech. This will enable us to do a lot of more innovation in many of these cutting edge areas where the returns come in very late. And second is this 75,000 crore allocation to the states, where we've said that based on milestones of reforms, you will be able to get money for infrastructure. So the great thing is that central government has done the reforms. You need to push the states into reforms, and this 75,000 crores will push for better infrastructure at the state level. And if the eastern part of India can improve radically, then India will greatly benefit.
All right, Mr. Amitabh Kant, thanks very much for sharing your views on the budget and what it implies. Thanks very much indeed.
Thank you.